Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I want to talk about something that you guys commented on and I wanted to do a video on that. So basically some people asked me in my previous video where I said I managed to study French from 0 to B1 and then do DELF B1 exam in 2 months. A lot of people asked me, okay, so like I've learned French for this amount of time or I learned the grammar, this is stuff, but I can still speak. So do you have any tips and stuff? And I do have tips. So I prepared 5 tips for you in this video and I will go through it with you together. And if you had any other questions, feel free to comment and I will try to make more explanation in just so that you actually understand. Okay, number 1. I think the most important thing after learning grammar, because I really think starting off a language is better to learn grammar and then learn the vocabulary in conjunction with the grammar. I think that learning sentences and then like grammatical sentences and then understanding what each word means in that grammatical sentence makes more sense in the beginning stages. However, after you feel like, okay, I've learned the grammar until like a comfortable level, and like when I see a sentence I understand the grammatical parts of it more or less. Like this is not like say C1 level but B1 level. If you understand like the majority of the grammar is in the majority of text that you see, like that's a good level. I think the tip that you can do is to go read some vocabulary and learn the vocabulary that are related to your specific situation. So for example, your nationality, your cultural traditions, your language, your family, your background, your hobbies, your studies, whatever that's related to you, your activities, your likes, your dislikes. This I think really helps. So for example, I like a huge part of my life is music, so whenever I want to learn a new language I will definitely learn some extra vocabulary on music and music related and then art related stuff, because that's important to me. If you're studying for example accounting, maybe like things that are related to accounting are more important to you, so it makes sense to always learn at least around like 100 to 200 vocabulary that's related to your specific life, and that helps you to really understand and don't look for words when you're talking about your life, because usually when you're doing conversation, like 80% of the time, especially on levels that like below B2 and C1, which we're talking about political and scientific stuff, below that we're usually talking about our own personal experiences, so it makes sense that you know the words and the vocabulary related to your own personal sphere and to your own personal environment. So that's a good tip. Number 2, organizers. Basically, a logical order of thought follows a logical rhythm. So usually when someone's trying to talk to you about something, they start with, did you know what happened yesterday, for example? First I did da 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 da, then I did da 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 da, and at the end I did da 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 da. So it was like da 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 da. So it follows a logical order of thought. It's really good to know the words that help you form a logical format for your thoughts. Words such as but, if, maybe, or, neither nor, either or, on one hand, on the other hand, first of all, and then, before that, after that, like stuff like that, in conclusion, in summary, so, stuff like that. These words, therefore, moreover, there are like tons of them, but at least know 2 for each part of your logical thought. That really helps. So for example, in French I learned, and this is also not just speaking but also writing, but the thing about speaking is in speaking you don't have that much time to think before you speak, whereas in writing you can always come back and edit. In speaking you don't have that luxury, so you need to have complete control over the words and have them at your disposal before you start speaking. So that's why it makes more sense to already know the structures and how they're used. So for example, for French, the things that I usually always use is tout d'abord for first, and then I would say ensuite, the second thing, finalement, at the end. And then for my writing and also for my speaking, I use en guise de conclusion, as a matter of conclusion, and then I conclude what my thought was. So this is very important. Next tip is also kind of connected to the speaking one. If it's your first time really in relationship with these kind of stuff that I'm saying, and if these are feel like a bit unnatural to you, that is probably because you haven't learned like languages in an academic kind of way, and that's totally fine. A tip that really can help you is if you give yourself time in the beginning to write down what you want to say before you say it. So if you write, for example, 10 topics of your daily life, write them actually down and try to follow and form a coherent, logical thought. And then write down and then edit and see what structures are you using, like in the majority of these writings. What words are frequently happening? So these are the words and the structures that you will probably use in the majority of your speaking also. These are the words and structures that are beneficial for you to learn. And the first tip I can give you is recording and then listening back to you. So this is a tip that I think every language teacher ever has given everyone. And it's the good thing about it is that it really works. It definitely is worth recording yourself and then listening back to it. It is cringe as hell, especially in the beginning. You just want to, but persevere, take a deep breath and continue, because it's really worth it. And then you say like, oh, okay, I say a lot of so maybe I should work on cleaning that up. Maybe I should learn like 5-6 filler words that help me fill these long pauses that I take before each thought. So recording and then listening back is really beneficial, especially when you kind of force yourself to speak for 2 or 3 minutes uninterrupted, because that's when you really drain your brain out of the ideas. And when you do that, your brain understands the need to produce more thought and more content in that language, which is what helps you then later on being able to speak. And last but not least, I think this is one of, again, kind of related to the first step. If you have the possibility, on online forums, on the internet, or with a friend, or with a classmate, if you're going to like a language class, it's a great activity to speak with another person, especially if that person is a native speaker of that language. And if they really have the time, and if they take the time and take the effort to talk to you in their own native language, that is like a one-of-a-kind opportunity to learn to speak any language. So that is something I can definitely encourage you to do if you have the possibility. If you don't, or if you're not living in a country where that language is spoken, I have another tip, which is not even nearly as good as the speak with an actual native speaker. However, you can find like chatbots and stuff and start speaking to them in your target language, so in French or German or whatever your target language is. Also, like I think I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna mention it again. If you have problems with AI ethically, I think from what I understood, Ecosia, the browser, has this AI which is ethically sourced. So the water is ethically sourced. So just in case if you want that, this is not sponsored obviously, but I just wanted to, because I understand the concern of not wanting to harm the planet, but in your language journey, I think you can really use this technology, and you can find it from ethical websites and ethical sources. So this was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and if you had any questions, any concerns, anything, please comment them, and don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see more of this kind of content, let me know and I will make more videos on that. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.